Hi, I'm Tracy from The Passionate Spinner, and this is a video for my Tour de Fleece special that I'm filming in 2021 this year. And I have a long list of tutorials that will be uploaded over on my Patreon, but this video is for YouTube, so you can see what I'm about and how my style is. And if you enjoy that, you can come over to Patreon and see a lot more, and I will link everything in the description box. So this video is about plying from a center pull ball. I have this left over here, this green one. I spun a sweater's worth where I had two larger braids of fiber and two bats, and I plied them together, and the bats were less than the braids were. So this is left over from the braid that I spun, and I've decided to use this to show the technique of plying yarn from a center pull ball. So what you need for that is either a nostepinne, where you can wind your center pull ball yourself. You can learn how to wind a center pull ball on your thumb. I'm going to use a ball winder. I'm going to do that off camera, and then I'm going to come back with my wound ball, and I'm going to talk a bit about why you would want to use this technique or not. So let's do that. So I'm back, and I have wound my yarn, and I made sure to not have it collapse in the end. I wound this super slow because if it starts tangling, you're screwed. If it's not a ball that will easily unravel from the inside, you cannot ply with this. So what's going to happen now is I'm going to use the inside and the outside, and I'm going to ply those together. You can keep your thumb in the middle to kind of try and make it, stationary. You can put it on the floor next to you, but I'm just gonna hold it in my hand because I think I have more control over it in that way. So now onto the reasons why you maybe want to do this technique at all, ply from a center pull ball. So I have written down some thoughts about this. This is for when you have larger leftovers like I do. Usually I ply my leftovers all together, from all kinds of projects. I ply them together into yarn and use that yarn. But for this one, like I said, I made a sweater's worth, and I have this much left. And if I should run out when I knit that sweater and it's like I'm missing a bit of a cuff or some little bit, I would be so angry with myself if I used this for a different thing than, make a ball to go with the yarn. I also wrote down, this is a perfect technique when you do not have a lot of bobbins, because you only basically need one bobbin. You spin your yarn onto the bobbin, you take it off onto the ball winder, and you ply it on the same bobbin. So if you have maybe an older wheel where you can't get new bobbins for, this is perfect because you don't need any more bobbins. One is enough. You also have no leftovers because this was on the bobbin. I'm going to ply it with itself. No leftovers. It's all gone. What you need to make sure of when you want to do this technique is you need to have a strong single. If your single breaks a lot while winding into this ball, the plying process will be a nightmare. So make sure that you have a strong single to begin with. And also, when you wind your ball, make sure that it is neither too tight nor too loose. If it's too loose and the threads start to slip, not good. If it's too tight and you have to really use a lot of strength to get it out of the center, also not good. So when I wound this, I went super slow and I didn't tension it at all. I just made sure that it doesn't, ply back on itself. And that is the preparation. So I know a lot of people who do this as their go-to plying method. I used to go to a spinning retreat, and a lot of people have in their spinning basket their ball winder. They just wind off the bobbin and then ply right away. That is how they do things. And I think it's a great technique. It's not my technique though. I don't usually do this because I love my leftover yarns. And also when I spin, I like to spin all of the fiber first and then start plying, because that way I feel like I have more control over what I do. But like I said, if you have a large leftover or if you are short on bobbins, this is a perfect technique to go for. So let's start plying. So I have my wheel all set up. It's all ready to go. I'm using the Michi von Schwarzenstein, which is a German-built wheel, because it was empty and I could use it for this tutorial. So what I always have on my wheel, no matter for spinning or for plying, is this leader. And it's basically yarn that's on the bobbin, and I put a knot into it and made this little loop. Into this loop, I will now knot my 2 yarn ends so that they are secure here and nothing will come apart. So it's attached, and now we can start plying. I'm going to start really slow to make sure that everything works the way I want it to. I'm going to actually poke my pointer finger. Is that the word, pointer? I'm not sure. I'm going to poke that into the yarn ball, and then I'm going to start plying. And as you can see, I just use the inside and the outside of my fiber. I usually ply from my right side. So let's do this as well here, because doing it on the left with my left hand is just weird somehow. So let's go again. Yes, this feels better. And now just gently pull. And I'm using my right hand right now to hold both the inside and the outside thread into place while I am plying. So if you're new to plying at all and you want to make sure that your yarn is the same amount of twist all the way through, what you can do, that is a very old trick that I learned when I started spinning, is you can count. So I'm going to pull it out, make sure it's going on the wheel, and then before putting my hand back again, I'm going to count 1, 2, 3, and then just let it feed itself into the spinning wheel. So you can actually count the foot movement, like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and pull. For instance, if that is the amount of twist you like in your yarn, count it. Make sure when you're a beginner that you put the same amount of twist into every bit of your yarn. And the easiest way to do that is by just counting. So I will not spin the whole ball on camera, because I think that is a bit long and a bit boring for everybody. So I'm gonna finish plying, just like you're seeing now. I'm holding it. I always stop pulling when it is back on the back, and I can use my fingers to hold the yarn so that it won't tangle. Or on top with the thumb, just hold it. You know, I'm not a big fan of tangly messes when I'm plying, so this works great. Also make sure when you ply that your spinning wheel goes in the opposite direction of what it did when you were spinning. Because otherwise you will put way too much twist into your yarn and it will be unusable in the end. So this is how it starts. I think it's going to be really nice. I'm a fan of not too tightly plied yarn, but that is preference. You can do that the way you want. I think when it looks like this, that is my preference. So I'm going to stop the video. I'm going to finish plying, and I'm going to come back to you when I am ready to finish it off. So I'm about halfway done with my plying, and my skein started to misbehave. If you can see, it's, you know, starting to fall in on itself a bit. And I have changed it from being stuck to my finger to just have it here on my lap and with my hand as a control guide, so I can ply it like this. This works well, I feel like. So just so you know, troubleshooting. if it doesn't work the way you're holding it, change the way you're holding it first. Also, while I was just plying, I thought that it would probably work really well if you had a yarn bowl that you could put on the floor next to you, where you could put this skein in and have the ends come out through the spiral that's usually in a yarn bowl on the side. Yeah, I just think that that would be a nice addition to plying from a center pull ball. As you can see, it really does work nicely. And what I always do when I ply, no matter if it's a center pull ball or just from the Lazy Kate, I separate the different strands with my fingers. I always do that, because if I don't do it, I feel like it's going to get tangled, and I just don't want to have that. So this is how I'm doing it. I have my fingers here in between. That way nothing will get messed up. And this is how it works best for me. So I'm going to finish it up and then I'll come back. I have one more thing I wanted to say about the keeping the fiber apart, or the two singles apart with your fingers. When you ply from a center pull ball like I'm doing right now, you will automatically have them twist around each other. So if you keep your finger in the middle and just keep it there, you will get a twist under your fingers. I'm gonna do it now so you can see. I leave my fingers the way they are, and you can see here that twist. That is normal because this is a center pull ball. So the outer one has to go round while the inner one just pulls out. So I have to adjust my fingers after every little pull. Put the finger back in, take it out, put one back in to keep it from tangling. The finger between the singles has a second function. It also keeps your plying from entering into the ball, because if that's, if it's not here and I were to ply and my finger is just not there, it could get messy. So it's two functions, from keeping it to tangle in the first place, but then also it makes sure that the twist stays out of your bobbins or your plying ball that you have wound. So I'm gonna shut off one more time because I still have a bit to ply, and then we're gonna finish this off together. And yeah, I know I always have to get up and sit down again, but if I don't have the phone that I'm recording with that high up, you will not be able to see my hands and feet and the spinning wheel. So, and I can't see what the phone is doing, so I have to get up. That's how it works. I'm almost at the end now, so this is all of the fiber I have left, or the singles I have left, and I'm gonna finish it off with you together. And I just hope that I will not tangle this up too badly, because, it's been, when you pull from the inside and the outside of your skein, or of your ball of yarn, it will start collapsing on itself. And I think I might lose a bit of my singles now because it got tangled, as you can see. I'm gonna try to keep it as untangled as possible, but it's not gonna be easy. But I mean, honestly, if I lose 2 meters of singles in the end, I'm okay with that. It's fine. I think we can do it without losing anything. Let's keep the hope up. You now, in the end, have to make sure that nothing gets tangled. So I managed, I did it. I have now this loop left in the end because, it was one skein of yarn, and you could just leave it, but I like having two separate ends, so I'm just going to break it in the middle and then finish my plying like I would normally do. Just hold it for a bit, make sure that it's really twisty, and then let go. And that is it. We plied the full skein of yarn. I'm going to come back to you So you can see my face, and I'm going to show you the finished bobbin. And I want to tell you one more thing I thought of while plying. So we're done. The first tutorial is basically finished. I have my finished bobbin here. This is what it looks like. You can see, especially here, the tightness I like my plies. I'm going to hide my face. Maybe it will focus a bit better. So this bobbin done. I'm going to wind it off later, and I'm going to do all the other things you do. What I thought of while I was plying this, if you are someone who uses a DIZ, which is written D-I-Z, I wouldn't recommend doing it with a center pull ball because of the same issues I talked about with my finger. So if you do not know what a DIZ is, it basically looks like a large button. It's a disc about this size with different size holes in it, but you can also just use a button. And what you do, you pull your two ends from your two bobbins when you ply through the holes and have that DIZ sit between your spinning wheel and your lazy Kate behind your hand. And that is what is used to make sure nothing gets tangled. I have never used the DIZ before. I don't own one. I do have large buttons. I could give it a go. But if you are plying from a center pull ball, I would not recommend using a DIZ, because what will happen is that behind the DIZ, it will start wrapping around itself. So if you use a DIZ, don't do it with a center pull ball. I wouldn't recommend that. So yeah, first tutorial done, or first one that I'm filming. It's not the first one that will go up on my Patreon. And let's talk about Patreon once more. I know I sound like a broken record, and I'm sorry about that, but I'm quite proud of what I'm doing over there, and I'm doing a lot, especially now for Tour de Fleece. And what I've done with my Patreon, and was probably unique for me, I do have set up different tiers, and usually, you know, the business model of Patreon is the person who sets up the page sets up different tiers, and for higher tier, which means you pay more money, you will get more content. And I'm not doing that. I do have different tiers, so you can pay more money, which would be very nice, but it is not important for you. It's not mandatory for you, because my entry level is €3 a month. That's like $4. That's less than a cup of coffee. And you get access to everything I upload. There will not be more if you pay more money. It's not going to happen. So if you want to put up or entry, pay for a higher tier, that would be nice and appreciated, but you don't have to, because you will not get more content. I just wanted to make sure that everybody understands that. So that is it. This tutorial is under wraps. Is that a word? I'm not sure. It's done. I finished it. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you will give it a go. Let me know if you do. And I'm gonna see you in the next video. Bye.